Hello again.
Are you ready for readiness assessments?
No pun intended. We sure hope you are. We're going to be talking about a couple different readiness assessments that you can use for your change initiative. Sponsor readiness. Ready, willing, able. Do they have the time, the capacity to actually support you? Implementer readiness or core team readiness. So those folks who are real essential to the project team, do they have the capacity, capability, and beyond? Looking at the organization. Is there change fatigue? How have changes been handled in the past? Have they been well received, not so well received? What's coming up? Taking a look at that through org readiness. And lastly, including a change infrastructure assessment, or at least a questionnaire as part of readiness.
Right. Let's do it.
Okay. Rob, have you ever dealt with a difficult senior stakeholder?
Have I dealt with it? Yes. Yes, I have.
Okay, very good. Well, we can come up with a generic sponsor readiness assessment, but I think we should look at a dimension of personality.
Ooh.
Any ideas around personality?
I think I know a few.
Anything colorful?
Oh.
Red, perhaps?
I feel a little bit blue.
Okay.
Are you green with envy?
I'm going to be yellow in a moment if we don't start using ChatGPT as our advisor to give us an overview of personalities by way of color.
Okay, so let's head on over to ChatGPT and put in just a nice simple prompt. Please explain personality traits by color according to the DISC 4-color personality test. That is fast.
Okay, and I can very clearly call out my stakeholder is going to be a red today. In the spirit of a lipstick. So, before I head into this discussion with this very dominant stakeholder, I would like some advice on 5 questions I can ask someone who does come from a red, more dominant personality, who's very goal-oriented, to do my sponsor readiness check. So I would like a set of 5 questions, keeping in mind this person is a red. Let's see what ChatGPT can do for us.
Great. Okay, so we've come up with the prompt. Please generate 5 questions considering the sponsor is red in the DISC color personality profile.
Perfect.
Looks good.
Let's go. Great. So I was going to say we should add a prompt to say this conversation often happens as a business case is signed off before we even start to initiate our plan. This is great. It's asking questions around clarity, how they make decisions, resource allocation, super important. And I like that there's a bit of a behavioral question in 4, managing challenges. Really gets a flavor of maybe how they like to problem solve or deal with issues, which is great from an interpersonal relationship style.
Absolutely.
And again, communication style too. This is a good way to tap into how they like to communicate. Not only maybe us sitting and having some dialogue, but also zooming out and thinking, how can I present and play back?
So we have some insights for our sponsor. Where do we go next?
Our core team, the people who really need to help us bring this project along and implement. So it could be anyone from project manager through to SME, testing lead, change managers, etc. Get a good sense. Great, I'm assigned to this project, but am I truly ready as an implementer?
Okay, so that leads us to the next prompt that we have. And of course, we will put the prompt in the description of this video so you can always follow along. So we've come up with, please prepare a short questionnaire for an SAP and BPO implementation team to understand how ready they are to start the program. Okay, so moving on, it's nice to see the checklist of the competence and also to the capacity. I think those are the kind of the main points. Communication strategy, I think like you say as well, we could definitely refine, make this a bit more precise and concise and relevant to our implementation at hand. But okay, change management, vendor management.
Yeah, they're all good questions. Probably a little bit too long. Again, if you want to tailor to the audience. I like actually above in the change management section, it talks about team members being trained and prepared to actually do their work. So beyond capacity, we're also talking competence. So doing a real reality check, like, hey, I've been assigned the testing lead, but I've never done any testing. So what can we do to upskill you? Or, hey, I'm the project manager and the change manager, but I've never gone to any change management training. So this is a great time to close the gap.
Yeah, great. So I think all in all, this is a really nice output that you can do a sanity check for.
Yeah, love it.
Cool. Okay, so just because we are ready for the organization to change doesn't mean necessarily that they are ready.
Indeed, and we may have traumatized the organization in the past.
Yeah.
Truly, I can think of a few program acronyms that just burn my ears. And we might have some additional changes. And we might have some additional changes coming up. Org readiness. Can we survey the whole organization? Nope. And we don't want to do that either. Survey fatigue. But we can have some discussions with key leaders, also bring in some voice of the customer. For example, billing team members, maybe tangentially related teams that might be affected by the change. In our former example of the billing team, that will be outsourced and SAP module coming into play.
Nice.
No.
So that leads us to the following prompt.
Yes.
And what does this prompt say? What are we doing here?
So basically tapping into readiness. How do people feel about previous changes? And considering what's coming up in this year, do they feel good about this other change happening with potentially other items coming up? So give us some good questions. Nice. What can we ask our stakeholders?
Yeah.
Okay, it's really interesting that it's even giving us like a Likert scale. In the previous questions, it didn't do that.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious to know, was it the word survey?
Maybe.
That maybe triggered it?
Yeah. But this is great. I mean, I think a lot of these surveys are developed through Microsoft Forms or Qualtrics, and this is something that's just very easy to follow, which is impressive. Yeah. Let's look through some of the questions.
Indeed. I think these are tapping into really good questions. We're looking at communication. We're looking at training. Even I like the last one. Do we think our organization learned from the previous change experiences?
Yeah, that is a teller. And then we have the upcoming changes for the year. Yeah, this is great to see if people are aware / ready, how the initial comms have been for socializing that changes are coming. Yeah, I think to me, this looks quite sound.
I would just say, for example, question 3, I'm concerned about potential disruptions that upcoming changes might cause. I think, okay, fine, it's nice to quantify it, but I think having a space to add text and just getting a bit more information about what changes do they think would be disruptive. Yeah,
good point.
So imagine, let's just, working off of this, imagine there's some concerns during dialogue that we have really tight turnaround times. We need to get billing completed. What if a stakeholder says, I really don't feel that we can still bill within 30 days, like we're obliged to bill. I have major concerns about this company. I've heard some bad things in the market. What kind of, could we consult ChatGPT to say, hey, we have these concerns. What could some countermeasures be?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's ask.
Let's try it. Okay, and that brings us to our next prompt.
All right, let's look for some advice. So, ChatGPT, help us out. Give us some ideas. What are some countermeasures in these concerns around, firstly, making the 30-day billing period, and secondly, the vendor not having the best reputation.
Okay, so here is the outcomes.
It's a lot to digest, to be honest. If I was in a bit of like a panic to really be crisp and clear,
this would just me out.
I would maybe ask ChatGPT to refine it to the top 2, top 4 strategy or countermeasures.
Let's do that.
Okay, I like it's still a lot, but I think what it's trying to do here is just give us kind of the headline. So, for example, in communications, reinforce the importance of the 30 days, and then it's sort of giving you the sub activities to really reinforce the importance of the 30 days. I think KPIs is a really, really strong one. To be honest, there should already be service level agreements between the company and third party. So really bringing that awareness and making sure that's crystal clear up front, and maybe even putting in some penalties or escalation routes if those SLAs or service level agreements are not met. And then I like always, it's good to remember to have a contingency plan. Not all things go as planned. So maybe in this example here, we can look at off cycle or off system billing solutions. So not ideal, maybe looking at old ways of working or, adding additional resources to the team to be able to manually bill in the event that either a system goes down or team members just aren't able to get through the billing. So again, sometimes you're feeling a bit stressed and pressured while on assignment. You don't always have that time just to step back, breathe, and as obvious as some of these may seem, it's just nice to, again, have that baseline view and just an outside perspective, just to do a bit of a read through, and take on some different advice. Okay, and I think lastly, we've talked about the people angle, we've talked to our sponsor, our core team, got some sentiment from the organization. I think it's also really important that we look at, do we have the right kind of people-oriented infrastructure in place? So like from an HR perspective, all the job transfers, change management, training, communications. So I'd be curious to take the advice from ChatGPT on what kind of infrastructure we should have in place for this type of engagement.
Interesting.
But you're a comms expert. Can you tell me from a comms perspective, like what kinds of, channels, tools, etc. you typically would see?
I think for the field of engagement and the different channels and platforms, of course you have your Viva Engage, which is formerly Yammer, all the digital tools like Teams or Slack if people are using emails, but then also to, some of the other less online things, like team lunches with some of the stakeholders, some of the sponsors, town halls, in person or digital, webinars, or even just a kind of an engaging meeting, like a workshop here and there.
Totally. I know you've done a lot of fun, even games, team building just over digital. And I mean, when you're it can be a bit tense when you outsource. So having some of the key leaders on the outsource side with the business in-house, just getting to know each other, building trust, breaking the ice.
And I think this definitely leads us into our next prompt.
Indeed. Let's see what ChatGPT recommends.
Okay, so taking a look at our prompt, we have project, we have change, we have communications, training, measurement. I think we got it.
Yeah, let's take a look, see what kind of infrastructure it suggests.
Okay, so starting from the beginning, it does list out some of the infrastructure needed for our project.
Yeah, including teams, the governance tools. Good.
Yeah, governance structure. Okay, let's move on to change management.
I'd like to go a little deeper, honestly, in communication channels. Like, is there anything special or unique we should consider outside of our experience?
Shall we turn this into a prompt?
Yes, I'm curious. Let's consult the advisor.
Let's see. I mean, it is from 2021, so I don't know if we're going to have a company-wide Twitch stream here, but you never know. Okay, emails and newsletters. Internet, internal websites. Oh, yeah. Gotta love a good old SharePoint. Town halls, webinars, digital signage and posters. Social media and collaboration platform. Microsoft Teams, Slack.
So it's giving us kind of the standard. Again, it's giving us a long laundry list. Maybe it's good just to see it right in front of us. I like that they talk about video messages. That's something that I still don't see tons. I think if you can scroll up, there was also, again, highlighting change ambassadors, champions. I think those are really good. It's been a long day. It's been a great session.
It has been.
My readiness assessment for bed is complete. 5 out of 5. Thank you all so much for joining us again. We hope this was informative and we could share a bit about readiness, the types of assessments, and how you can use it during initiation in ChatGPT.
That being said, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye. Ready?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.